Well, I'm 22 years old and I was born in Dominican Republic. Through society, I'm labeled as a young, female, Latina, transsexual. And, you know, when I was looking at this, it really touched my heart because I could relate when I was 19 years old and I was going by another name, the name that was legally given to me when I was younger, and by my mother. And I just never felt like it fitted me, you know, it never fitted who I was. And I recall the pain, the anxiety, the hurt. I didn't feel free. I felt like I was stuck somewhere, but I didn't know where. And it's really hurtful, you know, and now that I could be who I am, accepting myself for who I am and what I'm about, I feel more liberated, I feel more free. Syilvia, can you come? I'm getting emotional.
In Spanish?
No, I just need you support.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Today, finally, I get to talk to Syilvia, I mean, personally, face to face, and I just really found out what an incredible woman she is.
Thank you. Don't cry, Mama. It's okay.
And it means so much to me because she's, you know, a mother, and then I think about my mother and everything that I felt like I put her through. And just to have that support, to have someone there by your side.
Okay, Mama, you can do it.
It's so different. It feels so good. You feel connected. You feel accepted.
And loved.
And loved. You know, I had my citizenship. And now my name is legally changed to Christina Sanz Rodriguez. And again, the feeling that I felt, it was amazing. It's like, yes, thank you, Lord. Finally, I could be who I am. I accept myself for all I'm about and all I'm worth. You know, and I have accomplished so much. I've done so much that I'm just really proud of myself for that.
That's great. The first time I released balloons, I took her to the beach, her urn, which is where we would go as a family. Gwen loved the ocean and the beach, and so do my other children. And it's just a symbolic way of showing love to her and releasing the balloons to the heavens. Woo!
A lot of people view transgenders as one who hasn't done the surgery, where transgender could be anything. Like one who hasn't taken the pills, one who has done the surgery or hasn't. It's just basically where you fall at, where you see yourself as.
They have what they call the Benjamin Standards of Care, and that is a format of certain things that any trans person must follow, particularly, you know, MFs, male and female. And that is that you live entirely in that role for a year before you're even eligible for surgery. When you've lived in your desired gender for that year, you're able to get your surgery with you know, verification from a therapist and a doctor. Prior to those years, though, some of the girls would just say, I'm a girl, okay, do surgery on me. And some of them would get it done as long as they had the money. Doctors didn't care. Surgery was very risky in those days, and a lot of them just basically got holes cut into them, and you know, where there wasn't any more than 2 or 3 inches, you know, and their sexual activity was at best, you know, less than adequate. Some of them, you know, committed suicide, you know, because they didn't have the year to come adjusted to what it's like, because that is a big physical, yes, mental and emotional change, huge.
Outside of my transitioning process, I would say it's been a year and 3 months when I started hormones. Surgery itself costs $28,000 and up, so I mean, and some more. And right now, currently, since I'm saving a lot of money, I have like $5 and something. You know, it's like once you go through the surgery, it's a real big step, because you shouldn't do it just to satisfy others. You should try to satisfy more yourself. You should focus on, am I sure I want this? Or do I want it just to satisfy my partner, whomever they may be? I mean, I noticed that a lot of us transgenders, I don't want to say we blend in with the crowd, because a lot of females, they think, oh, you know, when you have that drag queen trying to be a girl, or like cross-dress or transvestite, you know, try to be like girls, but, you know, they can't quite cut it. You know, that's the way a lot of females see it as. But it's not that we're trying to, you know, it's not how we perceive them, it's how we perceive ourselves. So basically, what I'll try to do is, like, I got lost. I mean, I've been offered to, like, you know, work in HSF, or, you know, to work with some of my girls, my clients at the streets. But then again, it's, you know, it's something that I don't want myself. I want something more. I just want to, like, create a new stereotype, which will be a positive, of course. And, you know, I just want to bring it to the community. Be like, oh, wow, she's young and she's doing all this positive stuff. And the Lord will bless you with a lot of blessings. You just got to know how to accept him. You got to know how to work with him. Like, he could open so many doors, and you just got to, you know, unlock it. You just go in, walk in.
Que vivan las chaparritas. Okay, now we have Latin Jazz by Michelle Garcia. And she is a Latin jazz artist who was once signed with Elektra Records and was crowned Miss Transgender San Francisco 2000, performing 3 selections from her Spanish Traveler CD, along with Beverly Steele on percussion and Woodwind and guitar.
I appreciate you guys coming out tonight and celebrating the International Queer Arts Festival. We should do this more often than once a year, right?
Tried to maintain this macho kind of, you know, guy image, because that was my cover. In high school, I was a 4-year letterman. You know, I went out for sports, and I played basketball for 4 years in varsity, and ran track and cross country, and during the football season, I was cheerleader. You know, I began cross-dressing when I was 8 years old, and made love as a girl to my first guy when I was 13. I didn't make love to my first woman as a guy until I was 19 years old. As a teen, there was no information out there to give me any kind of validity of what I was doing, where I was. You know, I considered myself a freak. When I was 17, I met my first post-op transsexual woman. And it's like, whoa, this is so cool. It's like, yes, it can be done. Somebody I can relate to, you know. You know, I was fighting to be this normal person that society wanted me to be, that my parents wanted me to be, and I had this other element that said that I am absolutely a woman, that I totally identify with being, you know, a woman and as a girl, and that's what I wanted, you know, and that was where my sexual preference was. My last stab at trying to be quote-unquote normal, I thought, well, you know, if I got married and if I had children, you know, then I think that I could hold that as sacred, and it would make me, you know, normal. Wrong!
For me to trust a man is really difficult, because I just realized also that men do stick their thing in anywhere they can. And at first I didn't think that was true, but you know what? These men that are very good looking, that I'm dating, then conceited little bastards, they just want to fuck. And, you know, they're not really into relationships. Like I said, they just, you know, basically when they see me, they think, damn, her body is fine. I want to just take that and make them know about her, basically, like you did in high school. Or jot down what females you slept with. But you see, like, the emotions of us females, we get a little bit more agitated, and we get a little bit cranky and nasty, we get like frustrated, we're like, oh my god, we're becoming overreactive. Everyone has their perspective on people, you know. It's like, oh, well, this is my image on transgender, this is what I'm used to seeing. But, you know, it's like a lot of them hasn't seen further on transgender. Like, you have your different transgender ones, again, that look very manly, and you have ones that are very passable, as you'll call females. And it's like,
like the crying game. I mean, you had one that had curly hair, and you know, she had no boobs, but was identifying as female. And then the guy, you know, he fell for her in the end. You know, whatever. He's like, he made out with her, and he finally accepted her for who she is. And that's basically what I view all transgender want, you know, is acceptance. Like, you know, a child or a dog, they'll love you self-love, you know, they'll love you just looking at you. They don't see the, oh, that's a man. They don't judge, you feel me? And it's like, that's one thing a lot of transgender go through, is that you have to be judged harshly.
Just like everyone else, I'm entitled to my privacy. And I strongly believe in my privacy. And because I'm trying to get to know someone, I'm not just going to tell them, oh, hi, I'm Christina and I'm transsexual on a first date, is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that I'm going to wait until emotions are getting, you know, when emotions are really becoming strong. Some people argue that they say, well, emotions could be strong the first day. Well, if that's the case, then I don't want you, because this is not healthy for me. But I normally don't tell people until I feel ready. And this doesn't mean with a guy. It means with friends that I meet.